Hello, thanks for tuning in. I'm Jim Roger.
I'm Kyle Dayton.
I'm Ed Martin.
And you're watching The Cutting Edge Revealing the Truth. This is the show where you don't just hear them, you actually get to see and experience the guests. Is that with all the technology that we have today, we still can't duplicate the size and other dimensions. We've got striped toothpaste, we've got atomic bombs, we've got all this computer technology, but we can't do what they did thousands of years ago, you know. But I know one person who believes that the ancient builders of the pyramid had supernatural powers or abilities. These people were also spoken of as the giants of old in the scriptures. And accordingly, with the book here, our guest tonight, Dr. Patrick Heron, is the author of The Nephilim and The Pyramid of the Apocalypse, Camera 1. Okay.
The Great Pyramid of Giza is situated almost in the exact dead centre of the world. It's halfway between the northern tip of Norway, the southern cape of South Africa, the west coast of Mexico and the east coast of China, and it intersects the 30th parallel, both longitude and latitude. Each side of the Great Pyramid is an exact equilateral triangle pointing exactly to the true north, south, east and west. The length of the base of the Great Pyramid in cubits, if you take a cubit at 25.025 inches, the exact length of the base of the cubit is 365.2422 cubits, which just happens to be the exact length of a solar year, including the extra fraction for the leap year. The angle of the slope of the Great Pyramid rises at 10 to 9. That is, for every 10 feet you go up the side of the Great Pyramid, you rise in altitude by 9 feet. And if you take the height of the Great Pyramid, multiply it by 10 to the power of 9, you get 91,840,000, which is the exact distance from the Earth to the Sun in miles. There's enough stone in the Great Pyramid to build a 6-foot wall from New York to Los Angeles. If it were a skyscraper, it would be 42 stories high, which meant it was the tallest building in the world for millennia, until they started building skyscrapers over here. Now listen to this. The solution to the mathematical problem of how to square the circle is incorporated in the geometry of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Now, if you gave me a compass and a pen and paper and a pencil, I wouldn't be able to do that for you, but it's incorporated. But yet, what we've been asked to believe, and what the so-called experts and Egyptologists have asked us to swallow all these years, is that the ancient Egyptians, or primitive man if you want, wandering in the desert sometime between the Stone Age and the Bronze Age, dressed in animal skins, constructed this incredible pyramid, which, by the way, architects and engineers tell us we could not build it today. With all our machinery, all our money, all our technology, we couldn't build it. But these primitive guys in the desert 5,500 years ago built it, yet somehow they hadn't figured out how to invent the wheel. That's why when you see documentaries about the Great Pyramid, you see all these slaves dragging these big blocks along the ground, which is rubbish. That on the north face of the Great Pyramid and the south face, there are 2 star shafts on each face. There's 4 of them total. They call them star shafts. And they point at 4 distinct stars in the planisphere of the heavens: Draco, Sirius, Beta Ursa Minor, and Orion. And I've identified 3 out of the 4 of these stars with gods, with a small g, that's mentioned either in Greek or Roman or Egyptian mythology and in the Bible, or in all of those places. So these people that made these, you're talking about incredible engineering, incredible mathematics, incredible wisdom, incredible knowledge. The Great Pyramid, Jim, originally was finished in a polished white limestone. So it would have been impossible to surmount back then. Yeah. And some legends say that its capstone was made of gold. Okay, well, the Nephilim are first mentioned in chapter 4 of Genesis, where it says that there were Nephilim in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. And it said, these became the mighty men which were of old, men of renown. Yes. So the word Nephilim comes from the Hebrew word naphal, meaning to fall. Hence the Nephilim is the fallen ones. These are what you and I would call fallen angels. Everywhere they appear in the scriptures, in the Hebrew scriptures, the ancient scriptures, they always appear as men, they're called men, they look like men, they've been mistaken as men, they wear clothes, they eat, they drink, and apparently they can have sexual relations with women. And we're told that a band of these fallen angels, now these would be part of the rebellious band of angels that endeavoured to usurp the throne of Yahweh and rebel with Lucifer way back in the dim distant past, but they failed in their military coup. But a band of these guys, according to the Book of Enoch, there was 200, descended on Mount Hermon in northern Israel, or Syria it is, in the days of Jared, which is about 3,500 BC.
Yep.
And 200 came into some form of concretion or manifestation. I don't understand what this is, but they chose ordinary women to wife. They were beautiful looking, they were irresistible, they were handsome, they were full of knowledge, full of magic, supernatural, superhuman powers. And they came to earth, had sex with ordinary women and produced these offspring. But these offspring were great in size. They were giants. They were the giants of the Old Testament books. In Daniel 2:43, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. That is talking about the Nephilim coming back and taking over. And it says there's going to be 10 kingdoms, 10 geopolitical powers in the earth that are going to be ruled by these 10 kings, who are Nephilim, who are gods, fallen angels but gods, together with human beings. That's why it says clay mixed with iron. We are clay, dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. Sure. Compared to these guys, they are iron, because they're spirit beings, they've the strength of spirit, and it says as iron can break in pieces and bruise, these guys are going to be that strong. But they shan't cleave one to another, even as clay does not mix with iron. That's what the return of the Nephilim are going to be. Now, how are they going to get here? First of all, you got to go to Revelation chapter 12, and it talks about a war in heaven. And it says there's a war in heaven, not a battle, but a war between Michael and his angels and the dragon and his angels. And it says they prevailed not. That is, the dragon and his angels, evil angels who tried to rebel against God all those years ago, they prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And it said they're cast down to the earth. And it says, woe unto the inhabitants of the earth, because the devil and his angels are cast down to the earth. Who's going to politically rule over the whole world and preside over these 10 geopolitical regions. At the moment we've got the G8. This is going to be the G10, and it's going to be ruled by 10 of his Nephilim together with human beings. And the first 3.5 years will be great. The second half of the 3.5 years is when the guacamole hits the fan. Big time. I would not be surprised if the Nephilim are influencing our governments all over the place right now. No. It's the ruling elite. The world, as far as I can see it, is an oligarchy. The governments are an oligarchy. An oligarchy means rule by the few. And in the United States, the oligarchy owns the Democrats and owns the Republicans. They decide who the president's going to be. They decide where the next war is going to be. And they're carving up. You can see them getting into these geopolitical movements even now. And I believe that these Nephilim are heavily involved in our governments, probably in these secret organizations. You've got the Masons, the Bilderbergers, the Trilateral Commission, the Illuminati, etc., etc. The people with the money and the power. And whether wittingly or unwittingly, that's where the world is going, to the new world order, the one world government, Novus Ordo Seclorum. That's where it's headed.